I'm going to give you a very brief introduction of Tweens in Adobe Animate, and then our transportation project, you're going to experiment with them. So far we've done frame-by-frame animation, which means if I have this animation of these balls going across the stage here, it's a 24-frame animation. If I was doing this with frame-by-frame, I would have to individually create each one of these frame-by-frame. But with a tween, the computer will do it for me. And I will remove this thing, so I just show you what I do here. I'm going to remove this Classic Tween. So here we go. So the way this works is I have a ball here, and I have a ball over here. So I just created two keyframes. Let me lock the Shape Tween layer. So I have the first keyframe here, and then I just made a keyframe over here and moved the ball over there. I could even remove this keyframe to show you how this is done. Okay, so I just created a ball on a layer. I could right click and create Classic Tween. Go over to, in my animation, I could select this, everything on this layer. Sorry. And I'm just going to move this ball over so I can get my act together here. There we go. And now the computer has drawn all those in-between frames for me. If we look at my onion skin, you can see how the computer's drawn it. Now, obviously, it's done it very linear. It just took this distance and divided up mathematically and drew a perfect in-between to go. So it looks very mechanical. We could deal with that later. But that is how tweens work. The computer will do it for you, and it saves you a ton of time. So there's three types of tweens. There's a Classic Tween, which is right here. And if you go into your Classic Tween properties, you have some easing, which we'll talk about slow in and out that you could do. You can tween certain properties together separately, which is a little bit of rotation, a little bit of size and color, but it's pretty basic. The only caveat is for a Classic Tween, your artwork has to become a symbol, either a graphic symbol or a movie clip symbol or a button. For us, we use primarily graphic clips. A Shape Tween does the same thing, but it's obviously with a shape. So if I have my two keyframes, I have a ball on one side, and the other keyframe I have a pentagon-ish shape over here. That's even another color. The computer will figure out and morph the shape with in-betweens. So very similar to a Classic Tween, but it will do shapes, colors, gradients, comes in very handy, but it will not be a symbol. Okay, you can't work with symbols. The third tween is a Motion Tween. Turn off my. So Motion Tween, this is a little rocket I did. And with the Motion Tween, you can change. So a Classic Tween will just really go in one direction, unless you add keyframes. So you can't make it curve. But with the Motion Tween, what you can do is make it curve. So it's a real simple little rocket I did. If you look at the rocket, I go into the symbol. I just drew in some fire with some frame-by-frame animation fire. Very simple. Let me get rid of this Motion Tween. So Motion Tween is pretty powerful, but it's complicated. It can be a little complicated. So if it's right-click, I'm going to say Add Motion Tween. And I could do one or two things. I could just go to the end, and I could drag this rocket where I want it. And you'll see I get this path of dots. That's my motion path. But I can go in with my selection tool, and I can adjust this path if I want. So now here I go, and the rocket's going to speed up a little bit as I go. The farther the dots are apart, the faster your timing is going to be. I could also go into the properties of the Motion Tween, just click in the tween, and I could orient to path. What this will do, this will kind of turn my rocket for me and orient the path, which looks pretty good. So I could just do that. I could adjust, bring things up and down. If I double click, I could get some very fine adjustments with my X and my Y. I'll let you experiment with these. Control Z can be your friend here. We're not going to worry about this. I could also, with the Motion Tween, instead of just picking the beginning and the end, another really powerful thing with the Motion Tween is I can go here, drag it out, and I can create keyframes and kind of move my rocket the way I want it to move. Let me speed this thing up and go to the end. I could drag it way off. So now, if I want to fit this thing in my view, now if I want to play it, so it's a little messed up, but I could then go in my selection tool and I can clean up the lines, and I can just drag them out, smooth them out a little bit, and get a pretty nice effect, all things considered. It takes a little bit of monkeying, but you have a little bit of control, and I would just orient that to path, and away I go. So Motion Tweens can be a lot of fun, gives you a lot of control. If I was unhappy with anything, I can go in and edit it. I can also adjust the rotation if I wanted to, and say, hey, I really want you rotating over here, and it'll do it for you. So that is a Motion Tween. So you have a classic shape and Motion Tween in Adobe Animate to do a lot of your work for you. And again, you can go into symbols and use some some frame-by-frame animation to smooth things out.